some texts. Let's see.
Somebody modified the look of their car.
I got rear-ended yesterday.
Yesterday.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Swananoa Valley. My name is Dan Hadley, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. We are a welcoming congregation, committed to supporting one another in our search for spiritual meaning and our desire to make a difference for the good. Now, all are welcome here to share, to learn, to serve, and to be your truest self. Together we create a force more powerful than one person or one belief. We like to say, you don't have to think alike to love alike. Think about that. Now, if you're new to UU or here, I encourage you to take note of our mission statement on the front of the order of service. It's a very pithy statement and well worth following. Now, we also affirm and promote the 8 principles, which are either on the back of the order of service. Now, it's our tradition to welcome first and second time visitors, or if you've been away for a while and coming back to visit. So we'd like to invite you to stand up, introduce yourself, where are you from? So I'd like to start on this side. Any new folks or returning people here? Let's see a hand.
Okay, I'm Barb. I'm here from, we're on a road trip, me and my dog, so we go to UUs all over.
Anybody else on this side? Want to share with us? Okay, how about this side? There's got to be some over here. Hey, yes. Please.
I'm Abe. I'm Tina's grandson. Coming from California.
Welcome, hey. I'll go to the first two young ladies. Welcome.
My name is Jamie. This is my daughter Hanley and my son Rainer, and we love visiting this area, and we're familiar with Reverend Carter. And we've been here. I think this is our 3rd time, but it's always spaced out about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yes, ma'am. You're next.
I'm Kelsey, and this is Felix, and we live right down the road from here, and this is our first time coming here, or
Thank you.
UU Church.
Okay. It's your turn.
Good morning. My name is Ed Oxford. I'm from Tallahassee, Florida.
Oh,
My name is Linda, I'm his wife.
We're representing our good friend Dan Demerville from Asheville.
I'm John, and this is Stedman. We're good friends of Andy's from way back. And, I live in Massachusetts, outside of Boston, and we went to school at Davidson.
I live in Davidson. What y'all should know about John is that he and his wife Vivian are both doctors of music and teach music in Boston. And his wife Vivian has led music for a number of UU congregations in Boston. So
Wow.
he's a veteran.
excellent. Now, if you're interested in learning more about us, or you would like to receive our newsletter to find out things that are going on here that may be of interest in here and in the wider community, I encourage you to pick up this card, which is in the back of the pew in front of you, also in the front, and fill it out. We won't bug you, we'll respond to what you would like, just to keep abreast of what's happening. So if you fill it out and leave it there, that would be helpful. Any announcements? We have a display as you come in the building. On the left, you'll see announcements of various things that are going on here and also again in the wider community. It may be of interest. I'd also like to draw your attention, you probably have seen it on the outside, really supporting and acknowledging that Cherokees used to occupy this land. And we respect that the land we're on today is the ancestral home of the Cherokee and other indigenous peoples. Now, the Cherokee, through stewardship, understanding, and conservation, survived and thrived in this land. We acknowledge their enduring connection to their home. Let's see, what more about that? Please turn off your cell phones and turn up your hearing aids.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's good to see you after 2 weeks. I come back to you a year older and hopefully a little wiser. But it's good to see the new faces and the veterans, if you will. Our opening words, thank you, Diane, are from Unitarian Universalist Peter Samosky. He says, "May this clear flame be a symbol that every heart can burn bright with joy and love and harmony. May the wisdom of ages speak to us through this flame and stay with us. Every one of us can be a blessing to this world." And so, having said that, would you please rise as you are willing and able and join in singing our opening hymn this morning? Hymn number 18, "Wondrous Love is This."
We'll do our best.
Wondrous love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this, that brings my heart such bliss, and takes away the pain of my soul, of my soul. And takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down. When I was sinking down, sinking down. When I was sinking down, beneath my sorrow's crown. Friends to be gathered round, oh my soul, oh my soul. Friends to be gathered round, oh my soul. To love and to all friends, I will sing, I will sing. To love and to all friends, I will sing.
Please be seated. Our words this morning come from Black Elk. Our reading is number 614 in the back of the gray envelope. And we will read this responsibly. It's called the Sacred Hoop. Then I was standing on the highest mountain of them all.
And round beneath me was the whole hoop of the world.
And while I stood there, I saw more than I can tell.
And I understood more than I saw.
For I was seeing in the sacred manner the shape of all things of the Spirit.
And the shapes as they must live together like one being.
And I saw that the sacred hoop of my people was one of many hoops that make one circle, wide as daylight and starlight.
And in the center grew one mighty flowering tree.
To shelter all the children of one mother and one father.
And I saw that it was holy.
We have a special program here, a program of music called Second Sundays. And I know this is the third Sunday. But being we had a completely musical service last week, We're going to have third Sunday music with Andy Gwynn. So glad to have him back again. He's an NC native, grew up in Eden, North Carolina, with a Bachelor of English from Davidson College. Been living in Black Mountain since 1983. He's now retired, but he worked for the NC Department of Juvenile Justice many years at Camp Woodson Therapeutic Wilderness Program for adjudicated youth. He's a multi-instrumentalist and singer-songwriter and a founding member of the worship band for early service at the Black Mountain Presbyterian Church. We're so glad to have him.
Good morning. I love it when there's a synergy, when a plan falls together. And I don't know if your plan to have a reading that started out talking about the mountain had anything to do with my song or not, but that's pretty cool.
Yes. Great minds think alike.
Yeah. Yeah, so this song is called The Mountain, and it's kind of inspired by a geographical landform just up the hill from us here. The mountain in the song is probably more metaphorical than it is physical. And I used to call this my 12-step song. But I've started taking to calling it my one-step song, because when you have to climb a mountain, it starts with one step. Mountain. I was stumbling, I was crawling, I was following your tracks. My last degree of self-respect went falling through the cracks. When north is south and east is west, the compass turns and tumbles to and fro. I was trying to climb the mountain, but I could not see the way to go. Through switchbacks and crevasses, stuck inside these blues, where all the lies you tell yourself, they turn out to be truths. The separation that you feel, you know is real, not just in your mind. If you're gonna climb the mountain, you're gonna have to leave some stuff behind.
Yeah.
This path is steep and rocky. It may fill you with dread. The obstacles before you may be real or in your head. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. Belief implies no guarantee of proof. But if you're gonna climb the mountain, you're gonna have to face the truth. Yeah, if you're gonna climb the mountain, you're gonna have to face the truth. Yeah, if you're gonna climb the mountain, you're gonna have to face the truth.
All right.
Thank you, and those who were singing along, I always love it. Feel free to do that. Thank you.
Can we show a little more love? All right, this is the time in the service when we invite you to come up and share a joy, a concern, a sorrow. Diane will light your fire, as she does every Sunday, and the mic is on, and the floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Sally, and I've been coming here for, I think, about 6 years. I'm not exactly sure, but I just wanted to let everybody know that I have accepted a job as a reference librarian at the downtown library in Greenville, South Carolina. And I'm going to be moving in a week. Not selling my house here, so I'll be back and forth a lot, but I just wanted to tell everybody because I love coming here, and I did visit the UU in Greenville, but it's not the same. We love you, Sally.
Hi, I'm Kathy. My older son Raymond is in the Airborne Division of the Army, and he's been deployed to Poland, so keep a good thought and pray for peace.
I'm Larry Perlman, and I have a joy and a sorrow, or a joy and a concern. And my joy is my brother, Robert, who lives in Florida, recently had a knee replacement, and his recovery is going well, his PT is going well. My concern is that this Thursday, he goes in to get a pacemaker. It's not supposed to be serious, so it's not like he's dying. But they did decide that there was some issue and he really needed a pacemaker, so he's going in for that surgery on Thursday.
I don't want to disturb poor people here.
Ask how many pacemakers there are.
I would like to share the joy of my second granddaughter coming into the world. Dear Grace O'Connell, 9 pounds, 7 ounces. She's already cooing and smiling before she even left the hospital. Oh, that was well.
9 pounds. Glad to be a man once in a while.
I'm Andy, and Linda and I agreed that today was a good day to announce several birthdays and honor them. One is our minister, Michael. Another is Larry Perlman, who was just over here. Linda, I forgot Mary's last name.
Betty Bates.
Debbie Bates, who was the wife of Robert Tynes, who has not been able to be here for health reasons for a long time, but is recuperating and should be here soon. So, happy birthday to all three.
We say happy birthday to y'all.
Yes, or if you're real Southerners, yuns.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear John. Happy birthday to you.
Yes, please.
My name's Ron, I got a big joy, and that is I'm here, and this guy's great.
So, thank you for that. And for those of you who, for whatever reason, decided not to come up, know that we keep you in our thoughts and prayers and in our hearts and minds. I now invite you to center yourselves as you see fit, and I'm sure you're familiar with what I'm going to read, but I think it's always good to hear this, especially in times like these. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. And if you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter. For always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection, neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness beyond wholesome discipline. Be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees or the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive that to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life. Remember to keep peace with your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be careful. Strive to be happy. And now while our minds are one, I leave you with the elements. Silence. And so it is. The greatest use of life is to spend it on something that will outlast it. And in that spirit, you will have to let this one resolve.
This next song, okay, I'm just gonna say, it might be a little strange. And, you know, sometimes when you write a song, you just gotta let it be what it wants to be. But after I wrote it, I'm like, what is that? It's called Round Room. I don't know. You tell me. After you hear. I figured it was either about reincarnation or insanity. But then when I thought about it, I thought, those might be two different names for the same thing. This big round room in which we live. Well, I used to have the money, but the money got spent. Now I'm living in my head, but I ain't paying any rent. I feel just like Jack Horner, but I can't pull out the plum. Good luck is just around the corner, but I'm living in a round room. I'm in a round room, in a round room, in a round, 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 round room, in a round room, in a round room, in a round, 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 round room. Sitting at the kitchen table, just trying to write a song. Sissy says I've been here most all the day long. You know I tried to warn her, sometimes the words won't come. The next one just around the corner, but I'm living in a round room. I'm in a round room, in a round room, in a round, round,
in a round room, in a round room, in a round, 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 round room. Well, I went to see a carnival. I followed that calliope sound. I bought a roll of tickets to the merry-go-round. On my left I saw King Arthur. He was going up and down. On my right I saw Siddhartha. He was going round and round and round. We're in a round room, in a round room, in a round, 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 round room, in a round room, in a round room, in a round, 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 round room, in a round, 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 round room, in a round, 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 You see Siddhartha going around and around. I know you heard this song.
Thank you for your generosity. Okay, before we start, I have a joke for you. I love it. I love that reaction. Just don't throw it on. All right. It's a little offensive, but a man and his wife and mother-in-law took a vacation to the Holy Land. While they were there, the mother-in-law died. The rabbi told them, you know, this is a tough time, but you can ship the body home to the States for $5,000, or you can bury her here in the Holy Land for $150. The man thought about it and said, you know what, I'd rather just bury her at home. And so the rabbi said, why? Why would you bury her at home for $5,000 when it would be wonderful to bury her here for $150 here in the Holy Land? The man replied, you know, 2,000 years ago, a man died and was buried here. And in 3 days he rose again. And I simply can't take that
That's really good.
I have a friend, he's actively dying, but he still has a sense of humor because he sends me these jokes. Yeah, the doctor said that he wouldn't live to see 2024, but he still has that spirit, and so I thought I'd share that joke with you. Oh, we have someone from the animal kingdom here. I thought I heard it. Bored. You're bored already. I haven't even started. I'm asleep. Okay, so listen, we're going to tackle this. And so what I want us to consider in our thinking and feeling this morning. I just want to put this, what I do with most of my talks, and I mean this in a good way. I don't care if you agree with it or not. I don't really care if you walk out and say, it's still a cruel world. That's not why I'm here and why I do it, but I just want to give you something to think about. So you don't know what I didn't get it, or why I still feel the same way. And that's okay. I just want to pose this to you. Because from time to time, people will ask, and I'm sure we've all done it, at some point, why a certain tragedy may have occurred, or either on a personal or global scale. And the fact of the matter is, you know, they wonder what we can or should be doing to resolve the world's problems. It is in the nature of life, it is in the nature of being a human being that people that we care for and love will get ill or go through times of great difficulty. They die. And it is natural that we feel empathy and are compelled to help in whatever way that we can. And oftentimes we wish for such things not to happen. That's part of being a human being. But the question I want to pose to you this morning is, but do we actually know truly what people need? Do we really know that? For you see, in truth, we really don't know what is written in the book of life. Sometimes tragic events unfold and we wrap ourselves in regret and blame, second guessing ourselves. If only I had done this, if only I had done that, if I woulda, coulda, shoulda. And sometimes we think we have more power than we do, as if we had done something that things would have shifted one way or the other. But we don't really know anything at all about these matters. It's one of the reasons I love Joni Mitchell, Both Sides Now, because after the wisdom of that, I don't know what really love is. I don't know what clouds are. Not really. I don't know what life is about. There's a wisdom in that. I think about Louis Armstrong living in the time of American apartheid. Well, we still do in some ways, but yet he could bring such feeling and conviction to a song like What a Wonderful World. I was going to ask you to play it, but it didn't come to me until late. I didn't want to have you guys have to rehearse something else. But I'm just saying, yeah, well, we'll do it. We'll definitely do it. But we don't know anything about these matters, not really. And sometimes illness or tragedy presents a great opportunity for what? For self-discovery. Sometimes things need to go wrong in order for them to be right. Perhaps you've heard the story. I used this in one of my books on prayer and healing. And you may have heard this story. It's about the poor Chinese farmer. He only had one broken down workhorse to help him do his work. This was his livelihood. One day the horse got loose and ran away. His neighbors came around to offer their condolences on his bad luck. And all the farmer would say was, good luck, bad luck, it's hard to say. A week later, the horse returned, bringing with it 5 young stallions. But again, the neighbors convened to empathize with the farmer, this time to share their delight at his good fortune. Still, the farmer simply just said, look, good luck, bad luck. It's kind of hard to say. The farmer's young nephew was working to tame the wild horses, and about a month later, he fell and he broke his leg. The neighbors came to commiserate. But still, the old farmer would only say, good luck, bad luck. It's really difficult to say. 2 weeks after the accident, war was declared. Every able-bodied young man from that village was conscripted. The old farmer's nephew was exempt because he'd broken his leg, which was a good thing. Reminds me of the Vietnam War, because everyone involved in that battle in the village was killed. Good news, bad news. It's hard to say. No human being, despite what our Orthodox Christian brothers and sisters believe, no one human being can balance the multiverse, the universe. No. In fact, the human ego is always in a state of imbalance, but this is not our natural state. However, when you get still, when you become still and you find, then you're in your natural state, you discover a synchronicity, if you will, a sense of oneness with life that you didn't create, but you finally discover. This provides a sense of balance. And to my mind, it's always better to discover something than to create it. Because if you create something, you have to maintain and sustain it. That's going to be a strain and a burden on your immune system. But when you discover it, it's effortless. If you take responsibility for the world's problems, you will never rest. You will always be thinking, who can I save next? Not to mention that you don't even have to look at yourself because you're so busy out here. Because something in you is motivated by guilt and fear, and that is some of the worst baggage you can carry. Freud once said that guilt is what makes civilization work. Yeah. Look around you. As the 12 steps remind us, our best thinking got us here. Our best thinking got us in the mess that we're in now. So relax. We're all a little bit crazy. Chill. If not, you will feel responsibility for the entire world. Relax. Allow your intuition to come to you spontaneously. Whatever you want to happen will happen, whatever it is. It will come when you are not trying to overthink or to work things out, not casting a projection. I can tell you now, after 66 summers on this planet, that I have always gotten everything I ever wanted. Both the negative and the positive. Yeah. Because the universe is like a man, it only mirrors back what you are. And if you think you can do something or you can't do something, you're right both ways. Either way, you're right. You just happen to be walking and somehow you come in contact with a person. You start interacting, you start talking, and then something unfolds by itself. And then the right person comes your way, the right book comes your way, the right relationship comes your way. Remember Einstein's quote? I think 99 times and I find nothing. I stop thinking. I swim in silence. And the truth comes to me. This is not to say, I want to be clear, this is not to say that an individual should just stand around in times of need. If a person were walking through a town and an earthquake hit, of course he or she would be involved in rescue efforts. That goes without saying. Compassionate acts come naturally to human beings under such circumstances. Not all human beings, but they do come. The difference is that the awakened person, the conscious person, the aware person remains in a state of natural serenity throughout, which allows them what? To be of greater service. This is what Buddhism is about. This is what the contemplative, Christian or otherwise, you have to be a non-anxious presence. When I was doing my chaplaincy training, that's how they trained us. That, you're going in a room, people have died, motorcycle accidents, cancers, whatever, and you may be a duck on the water, but if you, because they're laying all their stuff on you, and we choose that, that's why we become chaplains, but if you are nervous and anxious, it spreads like a cancer. And the family, you might as well leave. You want to be a non-anxious presence. You want to be a non-anxious president as well. Well, that's a different sermon, isn't it? You will not see them, the people, not the president. You will not see them wailing at the sight of too much suffering. Their serenity and the serenity of the angels are one. And when their work is done, they what? They simply go away. They simply go away. It's like they weren't even there. The conscious individual also recognizes that it is often through difficult circumstances that truth is revealed, because such difficulties compel us to look within and beyond our assumed identity. Bob Marley says it best, you never know how strong you are until you have to be. Thus, when the identity of the sufferer is seen through, is made somehow transparent, the entire experience can bring about a physical and emotional healing. I have seen it done. One of the greatest balms in the world is a peaceful mind. Such a state of peacefulness will help you to not only get well, but to stay well. To a still mind, the Zen masters tell us, the entire world surrenders. When people ask me how we help those who are suffering, whether it's poverty or illness or some other kind of serious deprivation, I recommend being a non-anxious presence. You can't lead where you haven't been. It's just you just can't. And Buddhism tells us that this stillness, again, is our natural state. And until we become aware of this way of being, this natural presence, we are suffering from a kind of mental illness. We are. We are wandering around lost. How effective can we be in trying to assist other people in such circumstances? So when we are established in what our true nature is, spontaneously, sorry, first day again with the new lips, the right response, now notice I didn't say the right reaction, I said the right response will arise to support the one in need. And it may not lead to what you think or what I think is the best outcome. We must always remember that. Because what? We don't know. And that's the beginning of wisdom, saying, I don't know. I think Socrates taught Plato that, or who came first, Plato? Well, they worked it out. Some people make it their intention to perform good actions on a broader scale in the world. Nothing wrong with that. They sell their homes, or they travel abroad and use all of that money and their time to help people. And if that is their calling, that is a worthy one that I'd support if that is what you're called to do. But if you don't have this strong sense toward this humanitarian work, don't try to create it by yourself or come from a place of guilt. There's some people who, you pick what difference you want to make. There's some people who say, I want to devote all my attention to fighting racism, right? And some people may say, I want to devote all my energy to geopolitics or climate change. And then sometimes people start feeling guilty. Well, maybe if I don't do this over here, am I racist, or do I not care about that? That doesn't matter. It's no one's keeping score. You do where you feel it's better to spend your time finding out who or what you really are. Don't let people guilt you. Let life unfold. Let the movement of the cosmic stream be felt in you, and then just be in its flow. This is good enough, I'm telling you. Sometimes we might feel that this news is a bit anticlimactic. It's a bit disappointing. You really wanted to know whether by realizing who you are, would you really be able to work miracles? Miracles happen all the time. Of Course in Miracles tells us that miracles are natural. It's natural to have miracles in your life. If it is destined that the expression of miracles should rise through a particular body, it'll happen. You don't have to get in the way of it. If it's meant to be, because then you mess it up. You mess it up, you get in the way. I'm telling you, because I do it. Almost every day. Almost every day I do it. Because I got control, you know. I know it's right. The energy of one who is fully awake is so vast that they may not even be aware of having this energy manifest through them. The miracle doesn't have to be done intentionally. It's probably better if it isn't. For you may not even be conscious of the effect of your own presence. We don't always know the outcome of the good we do. You don't know how you make a difference just by being you. Such is the power of the awakened mind. Let the universe take care of it. Let it. Get out of the way. Can you speak or think in this way? Or you don't trust it. And you got to get in the way. Can you do that? Can you see the world in this way? Because if you can, it's no longer a cruel world. It's no longer cruel. Or can you only look down because you're bearing the weight of the world on your shoulders? You were taught that you got to be Dr. King or Jesus, you know. And if that's your calling, that's good. But we're not all called to that. When I was a young boy, I was taught the Greek myth of a man carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. His name was Atlas. You know him. He was so bent over with the weight of the world that you could barely see his face. Now, I have a statue at home, a big statue, of the Indian deity, Lord Shiva. He's dancing on top of the world. Guess what? I like that image. Yeah. So you can either carry Atlas and the weight of the world on your shoulders, or you can dance the dance of existence like Shiva. And yes, your eyes are open. You know, you can see when you're not caught up in your own private mythology or ideology or theology. You cannot help but be aware of the world's pain, right? We all, Rich Halls can see it. I mean, it's so obvious that the world is in pain. You don't have to go far to find it. It's in any village or country or city. For thousands of years, people have tried to create peace. Usually in the name of some religion or some political doctrine, and they've not succeeded. And many of these people were not really interested in peace anyway. They were interested in being right. You see. And so they seem to be more interested and focused on attacking competing religions and or bringing politics into religion for their own ends. Now, this is not true of everyone who follows a religious or spiritual path, for each path has genuine truth seekers. But we may ask, how will a reorientation toward a more peaceful world come about? I'm glad you asked me that. Throughout the ages, teachers like Jesus, Buddha, they set examples of what it means to have compassion. Every now and then, awakened beings, because they're out here, some of you are in here, but you don't think of yourself like that. And maybe that's good. But you don't want to be too self-deprecating. You don't want to put your light under a bushel. Every now and then, awakened beings come to address this need. They are called to emerge from their inwardness to communicate with fellow beings. Such benefactors of humankind, they don't come here looking for disciples or students. They're not gurus. They look for devotees of truth, like Brother was singing about. Looking for truth with a capital T. No doubt some will wonder but they also have the truth in themselves. That's what I want you to hear. But people will wonder if their work really brought forth good fruit. Did I really do all I can? Do I really, did I make a difference? Because there's so much suffering and cruelty in the world, they say, I just want to know that I made a difference. The fruit of their work is the existence of so many compassionate people in the world who don't just see suffering, they see transformation. There are thousands of beings who, by means of their own inner work, their own practice, have worked on themselves, their own meditation. They are those beings that we're talking about. They are you and I. It can be seen in the very kindness that we give to people. When we really do evolve as a species, it will be when humankind becomes kind humans. Kindness does not have to be cultivated. Remember, it's our natural state. We've just been told that it isn't. We've been told from when Hector was a pup, we've been told that consciously and unconsciously by our teachers, by our religions, by people who love us, because we've been kind of brainwashed. The answer is quite simple. The reason there is so much cruelty in the world is because we consider ourselves to be only the body, only our personality. That's our cultural conditioning, which brings us to the question, and then I'm going to clear it up. What does it mean to be human? I know AI is coming down the pike, and we're going to have to revisit some things. But what does it mean to be human? This is the question Professor Cornel West asks of his students, but also he's running as independent for the President of the United States. Are we merely, in his words, a featherless, two-legged, linguistically conscious creature born between urine and feces, whose body will soon be the culinary delight of terrestrial worms? Is that all we are? The biblical psalmist says we are made just a little lower than the angels. Now, we don't act like it all the time. The psalmist asked, what are human beings that the universe is so mindful of us? And I don't want to, Abraham Lincoln says there's a divinity that does shape our ends. And I don't want to over-romanticize what it means to be human, but there is a sort of majesty to being a human being. Now, you may or may not agree. As long as we believe that we are just this package born between urine and feces, that gets old after a while. Such selflessness will continue to be expressed. We have often heard that the opposite of love is hate, but perhaps the opposite of love is indifference and selfishness, because we consider ourselves to be lesser than we are. A change of consciousness is desperately needed. And some say, yes, Buddha lived 2,600 years ago, Jesus 2,000 years ago, Krishna 5,000 years ago. How can they help us save humanity today? The challenge is, why can we only name so few examples? If I were to ask you how many great athletes or actors you could name, I'd get a whole bunch of names. If I ask you how many musicians, I get more. Scientists, a few. Maybe a shorter list. Dictators, I get a few. How many liberated beings can you name? Buddha, Jesus, Krishna, Mary Magdalene, maybe. But actually, it's not true that there have only been a few so-called enlightened beings throughout human history. It's simply that we haven't had the maturity to recognize them when we see them. They've always been, and they will continue to always be liberated beings in this world. But not all who are enlightened want to become teachers. You may not be able to distinguish them. They may be some of the homeless people living on the street. You know what I'm saying? And awakening is not a fashion show. Some of these beings may not even look very impressive. They may not fit the image of what a spiritual being should look like. They may seem to be pretty kind of ordinary, and we don't tend to notice them. But they are out there. They're in here. In much the same way that trees produce oxygen for the planet, even though nobody goes around them thanking them, the influence of these people contributes tremendously to our quality of life. Another way of saying this is like Howard Thurman talks about it. the contradictions of life are never final. And by that I mean, that is to say, they are never ultimate contradictions. They're not final. The things that happen in our life are real to the extent that they are. They affect our narrow view of life. But if we go within, if we broaden it, it's not just about our little lives. If we broaden this, if we transcend and go within, we find that we have the strength to deal with almost anything that life has to throw at us. There is that invincible summer that Camus tells us about. Once I read about plants in England called Buddleia bushes. They grow very wild, and you don't even have to plant them. They grow in the rock, they grow on your roof, they grow through the cracks in your walls. They grow on railway lines where there is no water. No one goes and buys them, and so you may not even notice them. But when they flower, when they bloom, they are the most beautiful butterflies come from all over just to be with them. And they don't have to say, hey, butterfly, look, I'm over here, come on over here. The butterflies just seem to come. You know where I'm going with that, right? Awakening beings and awakened beings are like this. Oh, just quietly, they're blooming all around us. You may not even notice it. You may even be one of them. And as they bloom, all other beings seek their company. It's not a cruel world. It's a beautiful world. It's just that the world around you is only beautiful when you are peaceful and at peace with the world within you. I said it. There it is. Amen. Ashe. And blessed be. All right, our closing hymn. Please stand as you are willing and able and join in singing our closing hymn, number 151, I Wish I Knew How.
You
show Linda and Andy some love. All right, we'll make it brief. Our closing words, our closing phrase today is from Dolly Parton. And during the week, if you see somebody without a smile, give them one of yours. Have a wonderful afternoon.